Icebox thing? Yeah. Ooh, that's scary. No, the railing.
Well, he is over 120 years old, so still has some of the old stuff. Now stick together as a group as well, please. This building is a lot larger than it seems, and we are restoring it back to 1876. So I do have construction occurring on the third story, so I just want to keep you guys safe. As safe as I can, at least. Now take as many pictures and videos as you want. You never know if we captured anything cool. If you do, send it over to the Washoe Club Facebook. And have y'all heard of the TV show Ghost Adventures by chance?
Yeah.
You're in the spot. We created that show in 2004. So in just a little bit, we will go to the room that started it. With that out of the way, welcome to the Douglas Building. Now this building was built in 1862 by Joseph Douglas. The whole second story back then was used as retail space, a doctor's office, and a library. But the third floor, that was a boarding house for the miners. And these miners were the highest paid miners in the entire United States, making only $4 a day. Everywhere else in the US, average miner pay was only 80 cents per day. That's a pretty big pay difference, isn't it? The reason for that is because it was known as hazard pay, due to the fact that no matter where you find yourself standing in this town, you will be standing over mining tunnels. In fact, we have over 750 miles worth of tunnels right below us. Now those tunnels were and still are extremely unsafe. You would have experienced fires, cave-ins, explosions, poison gas, cyanide, arsenic, dead air, extremely hot water, and on average, working temperatures of 140 degrees Fahrenheit. A lot of people were injured in those mines, and a lot of people were killed in them as well. That's why they say Virginia City is the most haunted location in the state of Nevada, and that's why they also say this building is the most haunted place in town. Because like I tell everybody, those people worked and died below us, they lived and thrived above us, and right now, all of y'all are just stuck in the middle with me. That said, you guys want to see some more of this place and some ghost evidence too?
Yeah.
On this way, guys.
A little bit.
So back in 2009, Ghost Adventures were here for the second time ever conducting another investigation of our building. While they were here, Nick and Aaron came into this room to take a series of photos using the flash on the cameras. Well, as we know, if you take a picture in the dark using your flash, it creates a shadow, right?
Yeah.
Well, right along this back wall in one of those images, 3 human shadows appeared, but there were only 2 people in here. When the Ghost Adventure crew saw that, they did what they do best. They ran out of here screaming. Now personally, I've seen the shadow people, same as my coworkers, even folks like y'all taking the tour, and I'll share with you guys a few pictures of shadow people captured right here in this room during my tours in the past. The first one I'll share was captured a little over a year ago now. It was captured standing roughly right here against this window frame. You can see its arms, legs, it's holding something white and wearing a hat. You see that back there? Very cool. I'll come right around you guys. Check this thing out. And then now the next one I'll share with you guys is a lot more recent. This one was captured roughly 4.5 months ago. So some backstory on it. It was myself and 5 others on this tour, so a total of 6 of us. I was the only person wearing a fully brimmed hat like you guys are right now. And so this gentleman took a selfie with Willie Nelson. And right there in that doorway threshold, this hatted shadow figure appeared. When he sent me the image the next day, understandably, I thought it was myself. So I came up to replicate or debunk it for him. Turns out, comparing the height of its hat to those stair railings, this thing's only 5 feet tall, so it's not me. Check that out. Oh, that's solid. I like that. Nice. Check it out. Isn't that cool?
Oh.
That's pretty clear, huh?
So short person.
It is. It is. I think it's the same one as that's in the first picture.
Oh.
Isn't that cool? Now, if you guys look through those window frames, that big boxy thing you can see directly across from us on either side, that's the cap to the spiral staircase. Now, we have it capped off for safety reasons, but when we go back downstairs, I'll show you that staircase and teach you about it. But after I teach you all about it, trust me, you can see why it's deemed very unsafe. That said, though, we'll exit this room, and we're going to go to the right. Go through that doorway. Yep. And then the next one in front of you, and that's the room we go in. Perfect. You're the new tour guide. Welcome to the Washoe Public Employment Staff. I'm going home. Have a great day.
All we need is an apartment. We're good.
There you go. There you go. Awesome. So now we're standing in the reading room section mentioned the Washoe Club, but I won't talk about books. What I want you to do is look right up there. That blue header wallpaper you see was also put up in 1862. For reference in time, when this building was built and that wallpaper was put up, Abraham Lincoln was the President of the United States, the Civil War was still being fought, and Nevada did not exist. This building predates our state by 2 years. That's how old this place is. But now fast forwarding 13 years, we end up in 1875, and that's the year that the Millionaires Club had to leave the clubhouse on B Street because it broke down. So they purchased this building, and they made this one of the most richest clubs in the entire town. They only had 200 membership slots available, and some of those members are people we've heard about. People like Thomas Edison, President Ulysses S. Grant, Adolph Sutro, John Mackey, you had William Tecumseh Sherman, Samuel Clemens, who's also known as the author Mark Twain, even Edwin Booth. John Wilkes Booth's brother Edwin was a member of our club for years. Unfortunately, in 1898, the mining operations in town began to decline. The Millionaires Club, being heavily invested in those mines, lost a lot of money, so they disbanded themselves. From then on until 1984, this building was used as a $20 per week hotel. I want those rates today because that's cheaper than gas at this point.
Right.
That sounds awesome. I'm going to have y'all look into the room we call a crypt from up above. After you check it out, I will tell you about this space. But when we finish this tour, we're going to be inside of it. It's real cool, guys. Follow me this way.
Pardon me. Just wanted to see in there. I just wanted to see in there.
So go ahead and stand. Right here on this wooden platform. Do that. Go to the side. Go on the left. On the side. It's amazing how high up we are. If that compressor right there turns on, don't let it scare you. It runs once a day and I haven't turned it off yet. So it's just a matter of time until it scares all of us. Honestly, I don't know. I think it could be one of these people just like trying to hang stuff up. But in the bar downstairs, above the bar, there's like 20 people over the 1970s. Pretty cool. Definitely a Wild West now. A big party back to this.
Whoa.
So I'll talk about it on this way. They're taking videos and pictures down there. No rush. Check it out as long as you want to. So the space you guys looked into, that's what we call a crypt. Now, originally, it was built to be a root cellar because it stays naturally cool all year round. But then they realized that during winters in this town, our soil freezes like concrete, meaning you cannot dig through it by hand, meaning back then they could not create new graves. So they had to take the overflow from the cemetery or the morgue and put them somewhere. That's one of the spots they chose, and they did that every winter from 1870 until 1922. In 1874, there was a typhoid outbreak that occurred, ripping through our town and killing off a lot of people. We had 77 bodies stacked inside of burlap sacks down in that space. Unfortunately, the majority of those bodies were infants, toddlers, and kids. That's why if y'all happen to go to the Silver Terrace Cemetery, which is on the very far north side of our town, and walk around it, 1874 is very prominent. A lot of the ages are 5 and younger. That's sad. Now, the reason why disease would just run rampant here back then is because a lot of people lived here. In 1876, we hit our peak population at 25,000 residents right here. There it goes. Los Angeles in the same year only had 8,000 residents. So we had a lot more people living here in Los Angeles back then. But as you can tell nowadays, that is not the case. Now we have roughly 900, including myself. Los Angeles has over 12 million. Like I tell everybody, my friends, they can keep it. Because y'all are meant trying to find parking in this town if we have 12 million people up here. There's no way. And do you guys want to see where Ghost Adventure started and get away from that thing? Yeah. Follow me this way, guys. You can go off sooner or later. I hate that thing so much.
Yeah, that was kind of uncalled for. Huh? Said that was kind of uncalled for.
ghost adventures did not exist. They were just hobbies in the ghost hunting thing. They decided to stay the night here. And while they were here, they put that tape deck down to mark where his night vision camera would be located, and it was pointing right at those two windows. As they were filming throughout the night, a full-body apparition appeared roughly where I'm standing, and for 7 full seconds, it was captured on video walking through that doorway. That was the first time in world history anyone has ever captured a full-body entity on video for 7 seconds walking across a room. So they took that footage, and they sent it out to a few independent film companies to try and have it debunked. Every company that saw it came back and said the same thing: the footage is real. Travel Channel got a copy of it, offered them a show, and the rest is history. We created that hit TV series right here back in 2004. It's pretty cool. But now we're going to go back in time to October 20th, 1864. Right in front of this building was a 10-year-old girl named Gretchen, and she was playing out front. While she was playing, she decided to run across the street, but in the process of doing that, she was run over by a horse-drawn carriage, but it did not kill her right away. So the townspeople grabbed her and they brought her into this room. Because in 1864, this was the doctor's office. Unfortunately, medical technology back then was not as good as we have it now. They could not save Gretchen's life. She did pass away right here in this room, roughly 3.5 hours after that accident occurred. I've had some people on my tours take pictures through that far left open doorway, and every now and again they capture what looks like a little girl in Victorian-style clothing standing by the wall, and she's slightly transparent. It's pretty cool, but it's also really rare when it happens. But I'll share with you all a picture taken roughly 10.5 months ago during a tour of mine through that doorway. This is not Gretchen. We don't know who this is. 2 Davies, the best capture I've seen. Sit right there. Here.
All right.
Isn't that cool? One of my favorites. Now, before we leave this room, I'm going to tell you about this cool mirror right here. So go on here and check it out. So this mirror, my friends, was made between 1858 and 1862. When the Washoe Club was built, it was imported for us from France. Now, this mirror being over 150 years old will never show that. It will never develop that weird yellowish haziness to it or degrade in image clarity or quality because it's not normal glass. This is made out of what is called diamond dust, so if the bright light shines on it, now there's only a handful of these known to exist in this town, and inside of this building we have 3. This one in front of us, this one on the 3rd floor, and then downstairs at the bar, the real big one that's in the center, is also made out of this. But they do not make diamond dust mirrors anymore, and it's not due to diamonds or to cost, it's due to the element mercury. Mercury is very toxic to your health. This mirror is made out of pure silver with mercury backing it. Over time, those 2 elements sadly separate, which is what allows that silver to sparkle and shimmer through it, and that's what prevents it from ever showing its age. Just don't touch this thing, guys, as beautiful as it is. I don't want you guys haunting you for the rest of my life, right? Now we're in the state of Nevada. Do you want to see the poker room? Yeah. Check it out. We'll go right through this doorway, guys.
I can see the fingerprints when you show them away.
Yeah, those are little kids touching it. Yeah, that's right. When if you break that, you owe me $100,000. Oh, you're the addicts my tour for years. So we are now standing in the Millionaires Club poker room, and this table right here is the original 1875 Faro playing card poker table for that club. Sitting here back then, you would have seen President Grant with Thomas Edison, John Mackey, so on and so forth. So the fact that this still exists and we have it where it belongs, that's pretty cool. Now with that club, you had a lot of gambling. On average, their games would last 1 to 3 days straight without stopping. You also had a lot of booze. Not only was there a bar downstairs that you got to find out about, there was another bar for that club located right under that little inset window. That bar top is now downstairs. It's a small dark one that sits in front of our cash register by the glass cabinets. That's the same bar President Grant got his drinks off of, and if you're thirsty after the tour, you can too. It's pretty cool. In those years, whiskey was cheaper than water in our town, and we had over 140 saloons just on C Street. They said there were so many bars here back then, there was one for every 38 people. Remember, we had 25,000 people living here, so that's over 600 saloons for this entire town. Nowadays though, we only have 14, which is still enough to have fun. And I mentioned that we're restoring this place back to how it looked in 1876. We're doing the 3rd story first. When we come down here to do the 2nd story, that bar you see right there, that is an 1850s bar I just brought up here about 3.5 months ago. I'm using that to recreate the Millionaires Club bar. So as soon as the restoration is done for special events, you will come up here and get drinks like they did, my friends. It's going to be awesome. On that note though, do you want to go up to the 3rd story and see some of the wallpaper and stuff we've been putting up? Yeah. Check it out. We'll go right this way. Yes.
Here?
Yeah, go ahead. These chairs are usable, so if you want to sit there and get a cool picture, please. Please.
What's going on there?
So this used to be a full wall, that was a doorway, and
Okay.
then it just rotted out. So it would have been, like there would have been hall tree in there or something.
Oh, okay.
And stuff, but at some point in the
Oh, as an
1970s or 80s,
entrance. Okay.
yeah, they blew all that open.
Okay.
I think that side was like framed in like shelving, if you will, or something like that, and this was the doorway, but dilapidation, man. There's no rhyme or reason why it happens the way it does. We think it was the really bad drug craze that fueled this town from the 70s to 80s.
Oh.
And so a lot of these buildings just rotted apart because they were busy doing other things
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah,
So
they're
now
maintaining.
people like myself come in and we're like, cool, I guess we'll have to preserve it and save it for everyone else to enjoy. Which is, it's fun. It's neat and stuff. It's cool. But yeah, this top right here, this is the top to that bar. And it's actually cool because it has a hand carved face right there in it. Isn't that cool?
No,
Wicked.
that's kind of
So,
creepy.
when it's all done for drinks, guys, come back and have a beer with me, please. The spirit with the spirits. It's actually fun. Follow me this way, guys. Let's go to the third floor. Yeah, this wallpaper, I have to mention that. So this stuff, don't touch it. Don't touch this stuff. So the reason I say that is so that gold in the flowers, that's actual gold put in the paper. The reason I say don't touch it is because that green is made using arsenic.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, that was their favorite color back then.
It really was.
Maybe.
The schnozberries taste like schnozberries back then.
Yeah.
Watch your step right here, guys. And upstairs we go. Yeah, if you find any like Victorian era like greens, deep like indigo blue colorations, or like a reddish yellow color, they're high in arsenic. If you touch it, you're fine. Just don't lick your fingers.
Oh.
And stuff. They found out that was bad because a bunch of little kids started dying.
Yep.
And they were like, "What's going on?" And they realized that the kids were touching the wallpaper and then putting their hands in their mouth. It's kind of a sad way to figure that out.
This is really cool.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
You go back there, check out the moose if you want to. And that thing's cool. That's an old toilet right there from the 1800s. Yeah.
Commode
Just
chair.
put a pot in there and throw it out. It's
Oh,
gross.
and then they throw it out.
Yeah. Yeah, the craftsmanship on that stove is just beautiful.
I have a computer
Yeah.
that has the nickel workstation.
Oh, that's cool.
And the flower dispenser. Everything on it is original, and it is in immaculate condition.
That's cool. That's treasure.
Only took us 12 years to find it.
It took forever to find one.
Hey, sometimes the hunt makes it fun though.
It did.
And you see other cool stuff too.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because when I came around the corner and I looked and I just went, this is going to be an expensive freaking trip.
It
Yep.
was.
She came around and she was like, no,
We're not
get it.
We're getting that.
buy it.
Well, once the final say so is done, you're done.
Yeah.
You're committed to this.
Yep.
So we're now standing in a room called Scotty's room, and Scotty is a former Washoe Club bartender who worked here from 1970 until 1982, and he lived in this room with his 16-year-old son, Richard. Well, in 1979, Richard and his 14-year-old friend Alan went a few miles in that direction to play above Gold Hill and the hills up there. As those kids were running around having fun, they went over one of those hills and fell into a 1,200-foot deep ventilation shaft for a mine, killed them instantly. Understandably, Scotty was pretty upset at the death of his kid. So much so, in fact, that on June 2nd of 1982, he decided he could no longer live without him. He got off work downstairs, came up here to his bedroom, pulled a rifle out, and shot himself and his life. He still haunts this section of our building, and I'll play for you guys a clip I got up here about 1.5 years ago now. So when I was up here with my buddy Malcolm doing some filming for the YouTube company, we had a few devices with us. One is called a REM pod, the other is an Ovilus. Now REM pods are designed so when an electromagnetic field gets around it, it releases this high frequency beeping sound. If you've seen ghost anything, mainly on YouTube, these REM pods all the time. The Ovilus is like a spirit box, so it says words out loud. So Malcolm and I were sitting roughly right there with the Ovilus, and our REM pod was on that little desk, and we were like, hey Scotty, you know, if you're up here, do something. REM pod went insane. It made multiple tones at the same time, and each tone fluctuated through different pitch ranges at different speeds. They're designed to only make one solid tone, and there's no electrical in this section of the building, so there's no reason why it should have gone off. Then the Ovilus said, depression, help me. And I looked at Malcolm and I was like, whoa man, depression, help me? That sounds like something Scotty would say. I think maybe he's up here right now. So I pulled my phone out to record the interaction, and what I captured the Ovilus saying next pretty much confirmed Scotty was here. Listen carefully and listen to this.
Walk the piano, move some furniture, give us any other sign that you're here. Touch something.
Suicide.
What?
So the Ovilus said suicide, and the REM pod goes off confirming something's happening around it again. And you can hear Malcolm's reaction.
Can he commit suicide? Yep.
And I'm like, yep. And then at the end of that full clip, it then said 1,200. So in order it said depression, help me, suicide, 1,200. That all correlates with Scotty. He was depressed for the few years after his son's death, which is understandable. and he wanted help through the grieving process, which he never did receive. So he killed himself right here in his room because his son died in a 1,200-foot deep shaft for a mine. What do you guys think of that evidence? That's some pretty cool stuff. I've been told now by many networks I'm one of the few people they've come across in the nation in this kind of profession that not only talks about this stuff for a day job, but when I'm off work, you can usually find me up here getting new stuff to share with you guys. And so much I love doing this for y'all. When we get to the last room, I'll play y'all a clip that I got up here with one of my brand new employees about a month and a half ago. It'll blow your minds. It's insane.
Are they still here?
Yeah, he's actually want to sign you guys up. It's really cool. That's it. You guys want to
That's why he sits outside?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, you're not wrong. Those are my pets. Well, if you guys want a cool picture, take a picture out of these windows. Oh. The view is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
The train sounds cool too. Add some ambiance. So if you want to be photographed, guys, this is the only spot in town where you can have a picture with both churches, the Sugarloaf Mountain, which is a small one by itself, and the 100-mile view in the same photo. You cannot get this view anywhere else. This wallpaper you see, this is an example of stuff we just put up. It's being made for our building out of the Bradbury Company's 1876 archives. So when she's restored, this is how it's going to look. Looks pretty cool, huh? You guys like it?
Yeah.
I'm glad. Well, you guys check out the wallpaper and take pictures, and I'll keep talking. You don't have to watch me talk. Enjoy the view, guys, if you want to. So there's a female apparition that resides in our building, and her name was Lena. Now Lena was a lady of the night who was murdered in this room in the mid-1880s by being beaten, and then she had her throat slit. Now that is a horrible way to die, so that's probably why she haunts us. We also think she haunts us because they never found the man who took her life. I think it was the member of a millionaires club. He had a lot of money and public influence, so they just brushed it aside for him like they do with the elite nowadays. We also think she was murdered wearing blue, or that was her favorite color. Because whenever people report seeing this entity, they say they see a lady in a blue Victorian dress, or everything, all the orbs in the mist, has a blue color. I'll share with y'all a picture taken about 5.5 years ago now, in broad daylight from across the street looking back at this building. Standing in the room below us, looking out of the windows, this is who we think is Lena. It's a lady in a blue Victorian dress, and she's see-through.
This is on this building?
Right down below us by one room. Isn't that cool? Look at that, guys. You see through her? Isn't that cool? Check this out. It's just transparent too.
Yep.
That's creepy cool.
Yeah.
Creepy. So I tell everyone, take pictures of everything in town, because if you do and you get someone in the windows and all closed and they're see-through, it's not someone like me, I promise. That's it. I got one more room up here. Follow me this way, guys. This wallpaper is also from 1862. This is also putting up right now. Like a silver.
Can I get this side? Make sure we're checking.
They've just got these freezers and
Everywhere, yeah.
yeah, the freezer chests.
This is some of the new stuff too. It's really cool. And if you want to see some original 1860s glass, the top two panels right there, if you move your head side to side a little bit, it's really warpy.
Yeah.
That's original to the building. Super old stuff. So we are now standing in a room called Room 12, which is also known as the Red Room. Now the reason why they call it that is because it is surrounded by some red paint, but the doorways are different colors. Now the reason for that is because the guy who lived in this room back in 1984, he was so tired of the red paint, he wanted to paint over it. But in the middle of his art project, somebody fell asleep downstairs at the bar with a lit cigarette, starting a fire in the building. Fire crews came in, put the blaze out, which that means the marshal has to go up and inspect further damage. He made it to the second floor, took one look around and said, "Everyone get out, we are condemning this section of the building." That's how we know 1984 is the last year anybody living occupied this space. Never like a hotel for the dead. Get on in here, my friend. Now, this door behind me is known to actually shut on its own. And it gets slammed so hard from time to time, it's actually starting to blow out right there below the doorknob. This is a solid wood Victorian door. It takes a lot of force to blow out wood that stout. There's no reason why it should ever come off this wall. For instance, those windows are cracked open and there's a breeze outside. On this side of the room, we don't feel a lot of air movement. So wind is not coming through the windows with enough force this direction to pull the door this direction and slam it. Vibration from us walking around, the door doesn't move as we can see. And if you manually pull the door right about here and then release it, gravity and the tilt or the crookedness of the building naturally pulls it closed. This does not shut hard enough to blow out a solid wood Victorian door that is over 1 inch thick, as you guys can see. It's not going to break a door, is it? What's interesting to note, though, is the way this door is breaking is very similar to if you were to kick a door on this side, it creates what's called kinetic force. It'll travel to the door frame and it'll start blowing out. So it's like whatever's up here kicks it shut. Had it slam on me during my tours. My coworkers have experienced it. I do all overnight security for this place. I've had it slam many times. It's really cool when it happens. Ghost Adventures and countless YouTube ghost hunters, they filmed it slamming. And that is the best video footage because when they capture that, they usually run right down their hallway screaming. It's the best thing ever. And I'll play for you guys a clip that I got up here, like I said, about a month and a half ago. So backstory on it, it was myself and one of my new employees. We were doing a Facebook Live investigation. So I was sitting right there filming this door. Zach was against that wall. And then we had a device called a millimeter, which is like a REM pop, beeps super loud if something gets by it in that doorway. Well, as we were doing our thing, the millimeter goes off. So when we ended our broadcast, I was like, hey Zach, before we forget, I'm going to record that section of the video so I can put it on the Washoe Club Facebook so everybody can see that we got something cool last night. When I play that section of the video for you, you will hear me say, hey guys, those are our footsteps. We're just moving some of our equipment around because I need to be transparent for the viewers so they don't think I'm a ghost. Right after I say that, you will hear what sounds like a little girl go, okay. There's no little kid up here with us this night. It was awesome. Listen careful, guys. 3, 2, 1.
Those are our footsteps, guys. We're just moving some equipment around.
Heard that? I'll play it one more time.
Those are our footsteps, guys. We're just moving some equipment around.
Hear that? Okay. Weird. That's a little kid. And that was right here in this room about 1.5 months ago. So you never know what you're gonna get. That said, I'll take us downstairs so I can show you the staircase, then I'll take you guys in the tent. Follow me this way.
Something's going on in there. I hear it.
That's got to be the clip. The size of those baseboards.
Those are huge baseboards. Yes.
I go, there's something back there, but no, that's okay. How we doing?
Not too bad. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Hey! Oh, you're in there?
Let's go straight inside, guys. Okay. Thank you.
Was she floor?
So this is that spiral staircase I briefly mentioned upstairs, guys. So this thing's interesting. So it was built between 1875 and 76 for the Millionaires Club. Remember, this building was built in 1862, so this thing was created 13 years after this building went up. Now this is no ordinary spiral staircase. This is actually one of 2 freestanding spiral staircases left standing in the entire world, and this is the longest one known to have been built. What I mean by freestanding is it's attached down here at the bottom where it meets the floor, and then it's attached right above us at the top. You see where it meets the wall, that notched out section? From that point all the way down to right here, it's free floating. There's nothing supporting it whatsoever. When it was built without the use of nails or screws. It was built using wooden dowels and glue. That's impressive. But because of that, you cannot see the wood backing separating off of itself. It's coming off the wall right there. And if I wiggle the handrail, super unstable. That is why it is capped off and roped off, because if you go up it, you will fall through it, and then you're probably gonna haunt me for the rest of my days. I don't want more ghosts, alright? That said though, are you guys feeling brave enough to go inside the crypt?
Yes.
Let's get it, we'll go right back through here, my friends.
Sorry. You're fine. Just want to get a. That is so cool.
Our intention was to make whatever we saw. Dirty spirits that might be funny.
No idea.
Stacked in here, yes sir. Crazy, huh?
Literally stacked.
Yep. So this is the crypt. This is where they had 77 bodies stacked in 1874. Now the way they would get the dead in here is they would bring them into the front of the building on a gurney and then stack them up. But when that pile became too tall to stack the dead, the platform you looked off of up there, they would take the bodies up there and drop them from that to keep the pile rising. Now they did that by candlelight because electricity did not exist yet. If you drop a body too fast, it may create wind. If that wind is strong enough to baffle the flames on your candles, your lights would go out. It would be darker than this back then because there would be no light pollution from the museum. Could you guys imagine stacking bodies and your lights go off? No thank you. It's also colder in here, as you were saying. The reason for that is because this brick wall is the back of the Washoe. That rock is the hillside. Where we stand right now is 3 stories underground. So to help put that in perspective, do you guys remember Scotty's room when the guy took his life? The wood ceiling above us, that is the floor to Scotty's room. That is how high up you just were on the 3rd story of this building. Now it's not uncommon for us to hear heavy boots stomp around when nobody should be upstairs. I do security for this place, so when I hear it, I go up because I think someone broke it. It's happened before. Nobody's up there whatsoever. I've had rocks thrown at me in here many times. Ghost Adventures got that on video the 2nd time they filmed here, and they ran away from it. It's pretty funny. And I've even had some people get lucky enough to take pictures up towards that platform and capture something looking back down at them. And I have an example of that I'll share with you guys. Check this thing out. Right up there. Yes, sir. Squeeze right by it.
Oh my god, this one is the scariest one.
It could be here. I'll come right over your top. Check that out, guys.
Oh,
Oh,
lovely.
that's not cool.
Isn't that cool? With that said, that concludes the Washoe Pub tour. Have you guys had some fun and learned some cool stuff?
So the red room,
Yeah.
the hole in the wall that goes down.
Down the flights?
Off to the
off
right,
to the-
it's almost like a window.
Yeah.
Yeah, the door's right here.
What is on?
What is?
That's a common area. So there used to be a platform that was right there, so the people in the apartment could come out and then either get into this building or go all the way down to C Street. Because they say a lot of places here back then had stuff like that. Because I read into a report at the peak when we had like 25,000 people in town. The people from Gold Hill and Silver City would visit, and they would say there would be between 30 and 40,000 people on the streets, 24/7 around that time. So it was like to get from one side of the street to the next, it would take you almost half an hour. So they came up with these little like zigzag hallways and stuff to bounce around between all the places. Which is smart. It's
Yeah.
kind of interesting. It's weird, but it's cool.
Cool.
So, but if you want, turn the lights off and get some cool pictures. Turn it back on. Like, no rush, guys. Please hang out.
Thank you.
And you can bring your drinks back here too if you decide you're thirsty. You might have a drink with the spirits or something.
Sure.
Spirit with the spirits.
Let's commune.
Why not, right?
Okay, that picture was jacked up.
Was there fire here?
Yeah, he said they.
I mean,
Remember?
but it reached all the way back here.
Probably.
So I can see it so much clearer through this.